Hiya babies, Auntie Lexi here. I've always believed that the JRPGs we love say something about us, about what we value, what we connect with, and who we've become along the way. So today, I'm sharing 10 JRPGs that reflect not just my taste in games, but a little piece of who I am. These aren't ranked, and they're not based on popularity. Just one game per series, chosen from memory alone, because if I can still talk about it like I played it yesterday, it probably meant something special. If you've ever looked back at a game and thought, wow, that really changed me, then you'll feel right at home here. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that loves sharing the stories, characters, and moments that shaped us. And while you're at it, I'd love to see your list too. Post 10 JRPGs that define you in the comments. As the JRPG that brought me back to the genre, Persona 4 felt like returning from a vacation, straight into another vacation. I know, that sounds strange, but after a rough stretch in the early PS3 era, when shooters dominated and good RPGs were scarce, Persona 4 was a total oasis. Released in late 2008, 2 years into the PS3's life, its PS2 launch felt like an escape. I stepped into the sleepy town of Inaba, not knowing the emotional journey ahead. Sure, its dungeons are still procedurally generated, but unlike Persona 3, each is themed around a character's shadow. That gave them visual punch, emotional weight, and striking contrast to Inaba's quiet, rural atmosphere. I've played Persona 4 4 times, twice on PS2 and twice on Vita, and I still get excited stepping off that train, seeing my uncle and niece waiting at the station, and meeting the gang all over again. Until Persona 4 Revival arrives on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in 2026, you can play Persona 4 Golden on Vita, PS4, modern Xbox platforms, Switch, and PC. I've been a fan of the Yakuza series since the PS2 days, so when I heard Yakuza Like a Dragon would debut a turn-based combat system, I was instantly intrigued. The series has always had a flair for the comedic, but Ichiban takes it to a whole new level. His earnest belief that life works like a Dragon Quest game is as endearing as it is hilarious, and it reshapes the entire vibe of the story. It's a reflection of how he sees the world, clinging to hope, idealism, and loyalty even when life is at its harshest. But don't let that charm fool you. Beneath the party antics and over-the-top side quests is a powerful story of betrayal, found family, and personal redemption. Ichiban's journey from cast-off to unlikely hero is full of raw, human moments that hit harder than you might expect. By the time the credits roll, you'll laugh, cry, and probably cry again. It's a bold new chapter that reinvents the series while preserving everything that made it special. And arguably, it makes it even stronger. Yakuza Like a Dragon is available on modern PlayStation and Xbox platforms, and PC. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete will forever be the game that captured the magic of a Saturday morning cartoon for me. This was the first JRPG that truly made me feel like I was playing an anime, from the vibrant opening scene to the expressive character portraits and the emotionally resonant voice acting. It was bright, heartfelt, and imaginative in ways that felt completely new at the time. Alex's journey from a quiet village boy dreaming of adventure to something far more heroic left a lasting impression on me. It wasn't just about saving the world. It was about friendship, dreams, and believing in something bigger than yourself. Whether it's the self-aware script, the catchy soundtrack, or the way it balances sincerity with humor, Lunar stuck with me. Even now, I can still hum Wind Nocturne and remember exactly how I felt during its final moments. And with the Lunar Remastered Collection finally bringing this classic and its sequel to modern platforms, there's no better way to discover, or rediscover, why this game means so much to so many. It's out now on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. As I've said plenty of times on this channel, Vanillaware is one of the most underappreciated developers in Japan, and anyone who took a chance on 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim likely walked away from the credits knowing that they just experienced something truly one of a kind. At first glance, it sounds tropey. Giant kaiju from space threaten Earth, and 13 teenagers pilot Sentinels to save it. But that's just the surface. Its story draws from classic sci-fi like Terminator and War of the Worlds, but telling you that still doesn't convey how intricate and ambitious it really is. The structure lets you tackle its narrative or combat at your own pace, alternating between a story-driven traditional adventure game and real-time strategy. And those battles, that look more like command simulations than flashy encounters, use a hybrid of tower defense and ATB mechanics, letting you pause the action to issue commands. Minimalist visuals give way to stylish interface design, small cut-ins, and clever animations that make you feel like a true field commander. It may not look flashy, but it feels incredible. If it's not clear already, 13 Sentinels is a must-play JRPG of any generation, and it's available on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. I keep going back and forth between Trails from Zero and Trails Through Daybreak, as both are fantastic in their own right. But when I really thought about the overall package, tight storytelling, world building, and character work, Trails from Zero edged it out for me. It's my favorite Trails game of all time, even above the more modern 3D entries and Daybreak's gameplay innovations. Why? Because Falcom doubled down on the little things that make the series special. NPC dialogue that evolves as the story progresses, the intimate sense of place across Crossbell, and a grounded story that feels personal without sacrificing scale. And then there's the SSS. This cast isn't just memorable because of their individual quirks, but because of how well they complement each other. It's a rare kind of chemistry, vibrant, varied, and cohesive, that makes you feel like you're part of their journey. It's not the flashiest RPG, but Trails from Zero left the biggest mark on me, especially in how deeply it invests you in its world and characters. And it's available on PS4, Switch, and PC. So if you've never played it, now's the perfect time to start. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 features a 7-member party system that honestly shouldn't work, but it does. I think the idea was to give players more tools to manage the chaos of real-time combat without needing to micromanage each character. And you know what? It pays off. It blends class-based progression with a massively open world and story that begins with a philosophical premise. Two nations bred for endless war, where soldiers are born into 10-year lifespans, and gradually evolves into something far more intimate and human. Each of the 6 core characters comes from one of the rival nations, and watching them confront their conditioning and build real bonds is one of the most emotionally rewarding parts of the journey. For Tetsuya Takahashi, it feels like the culmination of a career-long vision, pulling threads from Xenogears, Xenosaga, and every Xenoblade along the way. And that's not even getting into Future Redeemed, its incredible expansion that ties everything together in a way longtime fans never expected. This is a game that rewards your time and attention, both in battle and story, and it's easily one of the most ambitious RPGs I've ever played. You can play it exclusively on Nintendo Switch. Triangle strategy has sparked some debate in the JRPG community, but for me, it's one of the boldest tactical RPGs we've seen in years. Yes, some players felt it had too much story, but that's what makes it special. The depth of the narrative gives your decisions weight, whether you realize it or not, and shapes the story in ways that feel both personal and far-reaching. It's the core of what makes each path feel so distinct. Gameplay-wise, it may not cater to fans who love grinding, but there's a hidden elegance in its design. Some of the hardest maps in the game can be cleared not by brute force, but by experimenting with your party composition and tactics. One early game battle that looks almost impossible can be completely turned around with smart planning, no second playthrough required. And while its influences from Shining Force and Tactics Ogre are clear, it builds on that legacy rather than copying it. Much like Octopath Traveler did for turn-based JRPGs, Triangle Strategy lays down a strong foundation for what could become a standout tactical JRPG series. And you can play it on Nintendo Switch and PC. Dragon Quest VIII: Journey of the Cursed King was my unexpected return to a series I'd loved as a kid. I grew up on Dragon Quest on the NES, but somewhere along the way, especially when gaming jumped to the 16-bit era, I drifted away from it. So when I saw that a demo for Final Fantasy XII was bundled with Dragon Quest VIII on the PS2, I figured, hey, 2 games in 1. Okay, 1 and a fraction. But once I booted it up, Dragon Quest VIII quickly became the main event. Unlike the original Japanese version, the Western release featured a fully orchestrated soundtrack. This musical upgrade greatly elevated the game's visuals, making Toriyama's designs feel more grand, more magical, and almost larger than life. It was also the first Dragon Quest to feature voice acting, with British actors no less, giving it a personality that stood apart from other JRPGs of the time. And through it all, it still felt unmistakably Dragon Quest, right down to those nostalgic sound effects. This version is sadly only available on PS2, as the 3DS version added great features but dropped the orchestration. Even so, Dragon Quest VIII reminded me why I fell in love with the series to begin with. Tales of Arise might be one of the newer entries on this list, but it earned its spot with combat and story that felt both evolved and grounded. It leans more into action than ever, with a dodge-heavy system and tag-team combos that honestly reminded me of Marvel vs. Capcom. If you've played Tales of Grace's F, you'll recognize the influence, especially in the title-based progression and responsive combat. It's practically a spiritual successor. The story has a straightforwardness that some might call anniversary style, not because it's simplified, but because it emphasizes emotion over elaborate twists. The late game reveals about Rena weren't shocking, but they felt like a loving nod to Wolf Team, a playful salute, like saying, "Hey Tri-Ace, we see you," a wink at the legacy that continues in Star Ocean. What struck with me most were the characters. Tales of Arise told a focused, heartfelt story and gave every character a space to shine, and in doing so, distilled the best qualities of the series. You can play it on modern PlayStation and Xbox platforms, and PC. Many of you already know that I absolutely adore Final Fantasy VI, but with the Ivalice Chronicles on the horizon, it's time that I finally give Final Fantasy Tactics its flowers. Tactics took the Final Fantasy job system to incredible new heights. Complex, deeply customizable, and endlessly rewarding. And it wrapped that gameplay in a sharp, politically driven story, infused with the unmistakable flavor of Final Fantasy. Magic, mythology, and all. That still stands among the series' most mature narratives. Plus the soundtrack? Hitoshi Sakimoto delivered an absolutely stunning score that elevated every moment. The Ivalice Chronicles remaster updates the game with full voice acting, streamlined menus, clearer job paths, and smart quality of life upgrades to make it more welcoming to new players. And Matsuno even returned to help with it. I genuinely can't wait. It drops September 30th on modern PlayStation and Switch platforms, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. But if you're eager to dive in sooner, War of the Lions is on PSP, and the original PS1 version is still around via mobile and PS3's digital store. And there you have it. 10 JRPGs that give you a glimpse into who I am, not just as a gamer, but as a person. It's wild how these stories, systems, and characters shape us, isn't it? Now it's your turn. What 10 JRPGs would help us get to know you? Drop your list in the comments and let's celebrate the games that made us who we are. Want to keep the conversation going? Join our Discord at dsc.gg/backlogbattle. It's a welcoming space where we trade recommendations, gush about our favorites, and talk about what these games mean to us. And if you'd like to support a trans content creator making thoughtful, heartfelt videos like this one, you can do so at patreon.com/backlogbattle. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.